my name is Lucy from Made by Lucy, and I'm coming on here today because I've taken part in a challenge in August, which I'm really excited about. I haven't done a sewing challenge on YouTube before, so thank you firstly to Claire from Penguin and Pear for organising that. It's the hashtag sewatop challenge. Hence, I'm looking rather glam as I come on here this evening wearing my top that I've made for the challenge. This is the Ogden Cami. So I decided to go for this pattern to share with you all and give you a little review. Let me give you a little twirl. I'm super pleased with how it's turned out. I think it looks fab. So I hope that helps you see the top a bit better, a bit clearer. I feel like I need to go out now on a night out. It's brilliant. But yes, enjoy the video. It's a bit different than what I've done before. I'm going to do some sort of speeded up versions of me sewing and some talking along the way as well, just to show you how I found the pattern, how I actually, you know, first hand sewed it up. And I hope you enjoy it. Remember, if you do like my channel and you like what you see here, I would love for you to subscribe. So please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel below. And don't forget, if you click on that little bell symbol, you'll also get notifications when I upload new videos. So let's see how it goes and roll the review. So for the hashtag sewatop challenge, I've decided to make the Ogden Cami. Now the Ogden Cami, if you don't know, is a dressmaking pattern from True Bias, and it's probably not one that I would necessarily have made previously because I don't wear a lot of cami tops particularly, and in the UK it's not always that warm, even though we've had a really lovely summer so far this year. But more recently I have seen on Instagram particularly fellow dressmakers and sewists making the cami in all different ways. So with buttons down the front, with tie tops, they've added on skirts to make like a sundress or a slip dress, extended it. So many variations of the cami top, the Ogden Cami, and I absolutely love them all. I've seen so many. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to give this a whirl, and True Bias had a sale on it, so I purchased it just the other day and got it for like £7, so it's a bargain PDF pattern. So I've cut my pattern out and I've stuck it all together, and I've chosen my fabric and cut that out also. But just to give you a little insight about me, my sort of body shape, I am naturally a high street size 8 to 10, more a size 10 of the last few months. I don't know if everyone else is feeling that, but I feel like I've expanded a little bit. My height is about 5'8", sorry. My chest measurement is 34 inches, my waist is about 30 and my hips 35. So that's kind of where I lie. Looking at the measurements on the pattern, I've decided to go for a size 6 on here because my measurements, like always, come out all over the shop. And I thought I'd rather it be a little bit more loose fitting. I can always take the side seams in if it's too big. And the fabric I've chosen is really floaty, so it will hang really lovely, hopefully. So I don't mind if it's a bit baggier, as long as the front isn't obviously too baggy, because I'm not very big busted. So I've decided to go for a size 6 on there, on the finished measurements. So the pattern itself looks pretty easy to follow along. It's got the little fabric layout. The fabric I've used was a remnant that I bought from Samantha Claridge Studios. I can't even remember when it was, probably the end of last year maybe. I only had 80 centimetres of this, but I really loved it. I'm probably going to really regret trying to sew with this. It's really sheer, as you can see, and it's this sort of chiffony fabric, and it's got, can you see, like sort of adhesive sequins almost stuck all over it in little spots. So really cute, and I thought that would make a really funky little going out top. Not that we can go out an awful lot of it, but anyway, that's what I thought about making. So I managed to cut out the front and the back of that with this fabric that I had, and what I've done is I added a little bit of the selvage on the bottom, just that sheer. I thought that'd be fine by doing the hem, because I didn't quite have enough fabric on the fold. So I've done front and the back in that. And then I also had some really lightweight viscose fabric in black that I used for lining something else. So I've cut the lining pieces out of that, and I've also cut at the moment the strap pieces out of that black viscose as well, but I might change my mind on that. I might make that straps out of the sequiny fabric. I haven't decided. I'll decide how easy the sequin fabric is to sew first of all. So I've got my pieces cut out ready to go. I need to set up my overlocker and my sewing machine with some black thread. In fact, my sewing machine has already got some in. And then you can watch the making process. I will sort of stop if I come across anything in the pattern I think you might need to know, or a little review at any stage, and then I'll give a sort of final review at the very end. So step one was to stay stitch around my neckline, which I've done, and I've also added some iron-on stabiliser on the back, some iron-on tape that I had, because this fabric is super fragile and the stay stitch was just pulling it slightly. So I've done that on the back as well, so hopefully that will just make it easier when I'm attaching the lining to the top bit of that bodice. So I've done that. And then step two were to do my straps, leaving a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So again, I've sewn them, so like little spaghetti straps. So I need to turn these in the right way now, and then I'm going to attach these to my tops of my arms. And on the pattern, you've got little dots on there showing you where to position your straps. It's like the centre mark almost. So I've made a little hole in there, and I'm going to just transfer that hole onto my pattern, onto my fabric, so I know where to attach the straps. So these are tiny little straps, and when turning them in the right way can be a bit tricky. There's obviously a few different methods that people might use. I haven't got a turning tool, so what I normally do is leave the end threads quite long, and I normally do a couple of runs of stitches so that I've got like 4 threads hanging out the top. I use a big chunky needle that hasn't got much of a point, thread it through, and then I put that through the tube of my strap, making sure not to pierce through the fabric, push it all the way up the needle, and gently pull the needle out the other end until you can see the strings, and then hold on to those strings and then gradually pull the tube through the right way. As soon as you manage to get that first little top bit in, it then becomes really easy. It's just getting that first bit to poke down, and then you just put it back on itself, give it an iron, and you can cut those ends off. There you go. So I'm now going to sew down the side seams of my bodice, just like I have the lining, using my overlocker. I've just marked down the edge, the 1/2 inch seam allowance, because my overlocker doesn't give me the guide on here. So I just find that easier to measure in and just do a chalk line down to follow. I'm just going to take it slow because I don't know how this is going to sew. I have practiced on another little bit. I did a little trial stitch to make sure it's going through. The sequin's okay, plenty of pins. Here goes. So it's all going good so far. Step 5 I've done, that was to sew down the sides of the lining and then do a little double hem all around the bottom and top stitch. So I've done all of that, and I've now on step 6, so I've led the main body of the cami right side out and the lining wrong side out, and then I've slipped the lining over the cami. And I've pinned all around the armholes and the neck as suggested, just taking extra care to make sure it all lines up in the right places. And I've also just double checked to make sure my lining is still falling bigger than my actual cami top, and it does. So that's all ready now to sew round. So I need to stitch round the neckline. Now at the top the straps are only attached to one arm top, so I've just marked that side with a little pin across. So that one we need to sew straight across, but the other tops of the armholes, or tops of the arms, we don't sew across at all because that strap's going to come over and tuck in. Pieces there. So that is my next stage. I'm going to go back to my sewing machine and get on with that now. I think that's sewed around pretty well. Just gonna check my V's. There's a couple of places where I wobbled a little bit where I was just trying to keep the fabric nice and flat. But hopefully that's going to look alright. So the only other problem with this sequiny fabric, it's really tricky to iron it because you don't want the sequins to melt. So ironing this round the right way now is going to be a bit of a challenge and take a little while on a nice cool heat, but that is next to do. So last step I'm on now, this is just go around the hem, which is just as tricky as all the rest because this fabric is so sheer and chiffon-like, but this is the last step. hope you enjoyed watching me sew along, and to be honest, the review of this pattern is really good. It was super simple to sew up. I mean, the main issues I had are that I chose a fabric that was, you know, really slippery and probably not the best to sew. What I would probably change on this one is I would make the lining, as you can see it stops sort of here, maybe a bit longer because it's so sheer, so sort of bring that down a bit further. I did already increase that lining inside by 5 centimetres, the length of, but I'd probably go a bit longer again, but only really because this fabric is particularly sheer. I didn't change anything else on the pattern. I made the size 6, as I mentioned. The armholes are absolutely perfect, and I can get it on and off with ease, and there's no gaping or anything like that. I really, really love the V at the front and the back. I think that looks really pretty and quite elegant, and I can completely see how people have changed the top up to have tie straps as well. You know, how they've cut it off to then make a really pretty dress. So many variations. I really, really love it. Actually, the bottom I was a bit worried was going to be a bit wide, but because it suggests that you use a floaty fabric, it just gives it a little bit of hang. So again, that looks really nice as well. I struggled a little bit with the hem on this because this, again, fabric is really sheer and was quite hard to hem. I was going to do a little rolled hem on my machine, but because I only had limited amount of fabric, the 80 centimetres, around the back here, it sort of rolled onto the sequins, so I couldn't really do that. But overall, I am super pleased with it. I think it looks really lovely. It fits beautifully. The pattern, following the pattern itself, again, was really easy. There's step-by-step and pictures all the way along, explaining, you know, how to do each step, giving you pictures. And I'm pretty sure with True Bias as well, you can go onto YouTube and they've got video tutorials as well of their makes. Correct me if I'm wrong. But each step was like really detailed pictures, which I also really, really liked, because that quite often is a stumbling point for people. Really simple pattern, so beginners could totally do this. And what I love about this pattern is, even though it's really simple, there's still a few little features in there, sewing techniques that you may not have done before, so you're learning new things as well, even with a basic pattern. And again, it's so adaptable. You can change it up and make it completely what you want to make it. So it's a really versatile pattern to have in your wardrobe, a staple pattern that you can use again and again and change as well. So overall, 10 out of 10. I can see why people have made this, so many people, and I will most definitely be making some more for myself. I've got some linen actually. I might make myself a little linen one. They would also make, I've got some lovely pink and white fabric on my last vlog. I'll put a link up here. I spoke about making myself some pyjama bottoms with it, and I think I'm going to make myself a little cami top to go with that using this pattern. Would work perfectly for pyjamas too. So really, really impressed. Well done, True Bias. Love it. Yeah, nothing more to say. Fab pattern. So go get yourself a pattern. Even if you don't sew up straight away, there's always going to be a time when you need a little vest top, a little cami for something or some, you know, outfit you're making. Really impressed. Thumbs up from me, Made by Lucy. Thanks so much for watching and hearing me waffle on. If you want to go and get yourself this pattern, I'll put the link to True Bias in my comments below. And also I'm going to put the links for the other participants in the Sew Top Challenge as well. Thank you so much for having me, Claire. It's such a fantastic little incentive to get me back in the sewing room. I've really enjoyed it and filming it as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you all soon. Bye!